The morning after Baba Osei went missing, the village of Tanfia was in chaos. Women gathered in front of his empty hut, whispering in fear. Men stood with arms folded, their faces were so tensed. Chief Nana arrived with his warriors. He looked around at the worried faces of his people. How can an old man disappear without a trace? He asked, his deep voice filled with concern. Maybe he got lost in the forest, one of the young men suggested. But the elders shook their heads. Baba Osei knows these lands better than any of us. He would never get lost, one said. The fear in the village grew stronger. People were scared to go about their daily activities. The children were scared to go to school. There was just some kind of tension in the village. Everyone was thinking, this means something evil was among us, because they did not suspect that they were working with something evil all around them. And then a voice rang out. Mama Koto, where is she? Then heads turned around to see where the voice was coming from. They looked toward her house. Expecting to see the old woman sitting on her stool, as she did every morning. But today, her house was empty. The warriors and young men of the village grabbed their machetes, drums, and torches. They marched toward the forest, following the trail of footprints Baba Osei had left behind. The deeper they went, the darker the forest became. The wind howled, the trees whispered, and then they saw it. A clearing in the middle of the forest. This is strange, right? The ground was covered in old clothes, but now they were stained with strange symbols drawn in red. A burnt offering of animal bones lay in the center, and in the middle, Baba Osei's necklace was hanging there. Auntie Ceci let out a piercing scream. Baba Osei, where are you? Where are you? But only the wind answered. The place was dead silent, and the only thing you could hear was the wind. Then suddenly, a shadow moved. Then the men raised their weapons. A rustling sound came from the trees. And then she stepped forward. It was Mama Koto. But she was not the weak, frail, poor, wretched old woman they had known. Her eyes glowed red. Her back was no longer hunched. And her voice, when she spoke, it was no longer just one voice, but many. Wow, this is getting strange and strange and strange. Why have you come here? She asked, her voice echoing like 1,000 whispers. The villagers were frightened, surprised, staged back in fear. Nana Kwame stepped forward. Where is Baba Osei? He demanded. Mama Koto laughed. He belongs to the spirits now, she said. Just like the animals, just like the ones who dare to question me. Wow. The villagers gasped, opened their mouth in shock. Mama Koto had never been a helpless old woman. She had come to the town of Tanfia for one reason, to grow her power. And they had helped her to do it. The clothes they gave her were not for the orphans. They were offerings to the dark spirits. Nana Kwame did not waste time. He turned to his warriors. "Light the torches," he commanded. Flames rose as the warriors prepared for the battle. Mama Koto screamed, but it was not the scream of an old woman. It sounded so inhuman that the trees shook and the village covered their ears. It was a loud scream, a very loud one. Then she moved. This time around, not like a human, and also not like an old woman. Rather, she moved like a shadow, twisting and turning through the air. She lunged at them, her long bony fingers reaching for Nana Kwame. But before she could touch him, Auntie Ceci threw a handful of white powder into the air. "Salt and herbs from the elders," she shouted. "Give me salt and herbs. Give me salt and herbs." The moment the powder touched Mama Koto's skin, she shrieked in pain. She started shrinking and rolling and screaming in pain. Her body twisted and writhed, her dark from fading and fiercing like smoke. More salt, give me more salt and herbs," the elders cried. The villagers threw salt, sacred ashes, and white chalk into the air. They were just throwing it into the air. Mama Koto screamed again, her body melting into the ground. And for the first time, they saw her true form. She was not human. No, she wasn't. She was a spirit, a witch, a creature older than itself. Her red eyes flicked, her mouth opened in a final cry. "No, this is not the end," she hissed. And with that, she disappeared. Gone far away, the forest felt silent. Only the cracking of the torches remained. The villagers stood there, breathing heavily, with their faces pale with fear. Then they heard a sound, a weak cough, a groan, and then they turned. And there was a lion near the burnt offering. Was not Papa Osei. He was alive, and then the villagers rushed to him. His eyes opened slowly, and he whispered, "She almost had me. She almost had me." They carried him home, chanting prayers of protection over his life while they carried him home. That night, the elders and priests gathered all around. They purged the remaining clothes. They purified the land with sacred herbs and water to take away the evil spirits of Mama Koto from the land. They poured in some herbs on the ground, did more chanting, just to suck away that evil spirit of Mama Koto. The villagers stood in shock. They don't believe why an old woman would come into their village just to harm them. Someone they loved, someone they were gathering clothes for, someone they thought was weak, was feeble, someone they thought they were helping. So was that what she was using their used clothes for? She just gathered their used clothes just to kill them, just to harm them? But then they thought it was a norm to give out used clothes to people who needed it. And why would Mama Koto pick up their used clothes just to kill them, just to harm them? Someone they loved built her a home to make her feel comfortable. Auntie Efia and her husband, the woman taking in Auntie Mama Koto when she initially arrived, were so shocked. They just broke down in tears and crying. They did not know. They were just all in shock. They could not believe how an old woman at her age would just come into their village with an evil intention. And that made them scared. That made them worried. That made them feel helpless. The whole village, anytime they went to the market, were still scared and started talking about the whole issue. Children became frightened, and the whole town of Tanfia, which was known for peace, known for happiness, known for celebration, became a very calm town. Everybody was taken aback with what had happened. Nana Kwame, the chief, made a new law. No one would ever speak the name of Mama Koto in this village again. She came here not as the feeble old woman we saw her to be, not as an old woman who needed help from us, not as an old woman who had an orphanage and we were donating our old and used clothes to, not an old woman who was sacked and beaten by her children as she always projected, not as an old woman who needed support from us. Rather, she was a witch who came into this village to gather our used clothes for rituals. Nana Kwame said, at a family gathering, at a village gathering, no one should ever speak her name again in this village. We did our best as people to help her. Little did we know she was just here to harm us. And from that day onwards, Tanfia returned to peace. Everybody went back to their daily activities, and everybody stopped mentioning the name of Mama Koto in the village. But deep in the forest, where the trees stood still and wind never blew, a faint whisper could sometimes be heard. Very faint. And in most cases, this whisper sounded like a laughter. Every day, sometimes at midnight while people slept, you could hear a very faint whisper, always sounding like a laughter. And the villagers knew she was not truly gone. Mama Koto was not truly gone. She was just waiting in the forest. Hi listeners, this story brings so much chills to us, right? I know we are all thinking, is it really worth it to do good to people? Is it really worth it to have pity on people and do good? I will leave that to you to answer. However, share your thoughts with me in the comment section. Do you think it's so worth it to lend a helping hand to people when you think they need your help? Also, do you give out your used clothes to people? If you do, why? If you don't, why? Please share with me your comments in the comment section and share the story to others to also listen and watch. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe for more African tales from us.